Yesterday was my birthday, and I suppose I could have spent it sightseeing in Paris or snowboarding in Aspen, but instead I decided to go see my friend Dick Ranck's art show at the Rosenfeld Gallery in Philadelphia. Dick had an opening a few weeks ago, but inexplicably I'd never received an invitation. Weird. When it comes to invitations to social events for my friends, it seems that the U.S. Postal Service often screws up. But be that as it may, Dick agreed to meet with me.
Let the record show that John had been told once, but some time ago, of the opening.
Like 6 months ago.
And that it was posted on Facebook.
Yeah, but I never saw that. I never saw that.
Dick had in attendance a fascinating entourage. The Reverend Sandy McCary was there, an Episcopal priest who divides his time between pastoral duties, summers in Maine, and lying on a couch imbibing an occasional martini to medicate his bad back. There was also Dick's highly educated cousin, Carolyn Whitbeck, who, having already graduated from Andover, Harvard, and Brown, is currently a PhD candidate at the University of Pennsylvania. She seemed to like me, immediately drawn to my own superior intellectual capabilities.
The company was witty and charming, so I'm very happy.
Does that include me?
Yes, that includes you.
She apparently recognized me as a kindred spirit. And of course, there was Richard Rosenfeld himself, proprietor of the eponymous gallery, and a true mensch on many levels. Richard occasionally unleashed a zinger or two.
Well, the reason I went into art is when I was young, I was kind of a confused kid and awkward, and they sent me to a psychologist, and he told my father I was autistic, so he sent me to art school.
But sadly, many of these were off camera, and my attempts to get him to repeat them were often stymied.
All right, now, once again, your line is, no one in my family has ever done anything physical.
Well, pretty much so, yeah.
No, but you say it.
No one in my family has ever done anything, what was that?
Physical.
Physical.
Like the way you referred to the artist in himself as the two Dicks.
Okay, now wait, what did you just refer to yourselves as?
You say it, the Gemini.
I thought it was the two Dicks.
Deck? You like a deck of cards?
Well, I think you're going to have to stop that kind of talk because there are ladies present. What do you have to say about Dick's show? Either Dick, raise your hand and start speaking.
Well, I love it. It's the show I just have to do. It's just wonderful. I think Dick is one of the best kept secrets in Philadelphia. It's amazing. I show him every 34 years. That's been the policy.
Or when he prompted me to ask a question about a painting, but wouldn't ask it himself.
Each person is a different stage and a different story.
All right, now why does Icarus have 3 tits and no balls?
Because my dealer is quite confused in the anatomy of a man. You will notice that the gym bag is right there attached to the sphere.
I arrived at noon, and before I could really get a good look at the show, Dick whisked us off to lunch. I experienced a number of instances of goosebumps that day, the first coming while watching Dick actually pay for my meal.
What's going on here anyway?
He's a really good artist. You should go see his show at the Rosenfeld Gallery.
Oh, okay.
Back at the gallery, I felt particularly drawn to one work, which was a combination of painting and sculpture.
What gave you the idea to project the sculpture so far physically in front of the painting?
Well, it's interesting to know that there were 3 separate pieces here. This long arm was part of a large sculpture that I made from an apple tree that was essentially a silhouette of the letter A that I'd given some human form to. I'd carved this up in Maine. It was a piece of pine that was laying around the property, and just one afternoon started carving it, brought it back to my studio, worked some more, put arms on it, put these threads on it. I often use them to stand for the fates, life's the strings that we are drawn by. But I never found a use for it. But I kept it around. And this painting I worked on for, I bet, a year, sanding it down, building it up. So I had 3 things that weren't resolved. I was looking for some way of projecting out away from the space but maintaining this without putting something directly on it. And one afternoon, it just came together. I just started thinking about, well, maybe if I pull strings out and put something on it, I just started making it. It turned out to be the day before I had my heart attack.
You're kidding.
No, so I think of this as sort of the hour, I call it the area of my last days. It's as if that some part of me knew that I was skating on thin ice because of the way this figure's arms are extended, this idea of the threads of life. He's blindfolded and unable to see, but fully aware. The idea of the sort of infinite blue space behind it.
I am at a loss. I am getting goosebumps hearing this story. This is amazing. I wanted to ask you about the blindfold. To me, there's something so sort of tragic about that. This figure seems so emblematic of the suffering that people have to go through.
I don't think of it that way, though. I think of the things I've been reading about early stages of the Bible and other religions where there was so much meditating, and the only way to understand the unseen world was to essentially blind yourself metaphorically to the seen world, to dissipate. So I think of the blindfold as an access to many things rather than being removed from it. It's sort of a way of, if you will, what I need to do to be able to unblock myself and have a more expansive understanding of things.
I think Dick's work is poetry. It's visual poetry. To me, the most salient aspect of poetry is you can pack an awful lot of meaning into very small images. The more layers of meaning you can get into a poem, the more evocative it is for people. And I think that's what Dick does. There's so many different layers of things happening in his work. Everything he's seen, everything he's read comes out.
Well, what can I say after that? The artist's cousin and his reverend were splendid personages with whom to spend time. And the two Dicks themselves? Why, I'm crazy about them. The dedicated and self-effacing artist and his gentle and wise dealer provided me with a wonderful birthday afternoon.
Native sculptures became the biggest influence on my work.
Oh, okay.